Have you ever noticed that there are a few people who seem to flow through life and get everything they want effortlessly without even breaking a sweat? While so many others seem to be spending lots of time hustling and grinding and never really reaching their goals, and certainly never really finding that lasting fulfillment. Have you ever wondered, what do these people have that you don't, or ever just seem to think that that doesn't seem fair? Welcome to Ditch the Hustle and this video on gaining a deeper understanding of yourself. In this video, I'm going to cover different levels of awareness or consciousness. And each of these levels of consciousness will represent a different understanding of the world and correspond to a different mindset or worldview, if you like, that shapes not only how we perceive the world around us, but how we fit into that and the role that we play. Now, obviously, we're not given an owner's manual when we are born, so we tend to understand the rules about the world and how it works, or a rule set, if you like, from what we observe. The beliefs that underpin our mindset are determined by frames of reference that we have collected throughout life. Now, those frames of reference are partly things that we pick up or are taught by those around us, such as our parents, but also from past events where we have filled in the blanks. We filled in the blanks on what someone meant or what their intention was, or basically on the way you have observed things working, and filled in the blanks to put reason behind or, understanding how things work, because quite simply, that's what our brains need to do. And then we look for the next event to validate that belief and reinforce that frame of reference. But this often has a negative impact on our self-worth and beliefs about the world around us being an unfriendly place. And then this in turn influences the rule set that we develop and go on to understand and live by. We can start to recode those beliefs and form a more positive, trusting baseline and mindset, as well as a new rule set. Now, one of Albert Einstein's most well-known quotes states that no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. In other words, we cannot solve problems with the same level of thinking that was used when those problems were created, or we cannot solve problems using the same rule set that was in play when they were created. So continuing to work through life in the same way with the same rule set in the hopes that you're going to get a lucky break someday is unlikely to get you any greater success than you have already achieved. So we need to have a different way of thinking and a different way of finding solutions. What I'm going to cover is a model of a few broad levels of consciousness. Now, there is a much more detailed model which has 17 levels, as each of the levels I'm going to cover can be broken down into much more detail. But that's, a bigger study with great big chunky books. And to be honest, it's more than I can cover quickly. And my aim here is to really give you an overview that's not going to overwhelm, but it's enough to give you an understanding that is going to help you. So I know you will recognize this first level of consciousness, as this is where 70% of adults are stuck. And I pretty much guarantee that you will know people at this level, because this first level is the level of the victim, or what I call to me. So people in to me mode perceive themselves to be at the mercy of external circumstances and other people's actions. In other words, they see reality as something that is outside of their control and beyond their influence. They tend not to take ownership of their situation and then go on to complain when things don't go their way. And of course, apply justification for why, their situation isn't good and life isn't treating them well. So they justify with excuses as to why they haven't achieved their dreams and desires, because none of it's their fault. Right? The victim can be a self-sustaining state of consciousness, because people at this level tend to feel powerless. They feel uncertain and fearful about the future, and they fear making decisions or taking risks, which keeps them stuck in this negative cycle of behavior. For a victim, life is about responding and reacting to circumstances that they perceive as being out of their control. And therefore, they've always got someone or something to blame when life doesn't go the way they want. The challenge for people to move out of this to me state is that it requires a level of awareness that they can own and change their life. But of course, there's a cost to this, which is taking responsibility. And this goes against their belief that life is done to them and means that they cannot justify their lack of attaining the life they want. It would require an admission that there's a damaging behavior or habit or pattern that's got to change. And that would, and also that they would need to then act on that, right? So then the next level of consciousness, this is one that has various levels. Some people call it the hustler, others the achiever. I'm going to call it by me. Right? This is the level where people make life happen. They make life happen the way they want. They achieve it. And whereas for the victim, life happens to me, for the achiever, life happens by me. Now, this is the level that you are most likely at. The fact that you are here now watching this video tells me that this is where you are. You've taken action to be watching this. Maybe you've done some personal growth or development work and you're still looking for that something that's really going to help you get to the next step. The buy me mindset is the mindset of taking action. We cannot win at life if we don't put in the effort to buy the ticket. This isn't just sitting offshore in a dinghy complaining that no one's going to be pulling us into shore. This is getting out the paddles or even jumping into the water and getting yourself to where you need to be. Right? It's a shift in perspective from to me. You realize that you have the power to forge a better life through taking action. You take action, you make things work the way you want, unlike the victim who's hoping things will work out and then complains when they don't, right? It's taking responsibility for life and focusing on making goals come true through putting in the work. So how do you get out of the life happens to me victim and get into the life happens by me achiever? Well, the number one thing here is giving up blame. If you replace blame with personal responsibility, that's the first step to getting out of that victim mode and moving forward into that by me mode. The achiever, however, people in by me need constant validation through their accomplishments. And it's important to understand that external validation alone isn't actually going to bring lasting fulfillment. So about 15 to 20% of adults are in buy me mode. And whereas the victim tends to see life as being punitive or working against them, those in buy me tend to see life as being demanding or potentially disappointing. And, because of that, from here, it's easy to fall back, down the scale of by me to the lower levels or even down into to me. Now, this is the important bit. So take note, right? Achiever is where most talk therapies and the bulk of the personal development world aims to get people to. But where the personal development industry is simply taking people from victim to achiever or from to me to buy me, it's failing to get them that lasting change. The instructions will always follow the same pattern. You got to set some goals and have some discipline and persistence, cultivate a desire so you can take some action and create a better life. While it's far more constructive than victim mode, achiever mode has its limitations because the buy me way of living can be exhausting. It's the buy me burnout lifestyle. You're spreading yourself thin, thinking that working hard will lead to fulfillment. The issue here is that it risks a cycle of falling back down the scale when things go wrong and repeating the process. Now, don't get me wrong, this is an awesome business model for many, many therapists and even some of the well-regarded coaches. But also as an achiever, once you reach a goal, you quickly aim for the next level because you are searching for that next level of external validation. Right? So you believe you can achieve fulfillment and happiness when you reach a goal, only to set a higher target when you do. So you are constantly chasing fulfillment, but it's because it's a moving target, you're never going to reach it. Now, the exciting thing is there is a better way to achieve everything you want in life and more, and it has nothing to do with putting more pressure on yourself or working even harder. This is where we're rewriting that owner's manual, and we start to recode those beliefs and form that more trusting, positive baseline and mindset from where we start to step up into the next level of consciousness. And this is what gets you beyond where the bulk of the personal development industry aims for. This is where life starts to shift, which leads us nicely into the next level. Now, rather than swimming upstream against the current, or having to fight through every obstacle that gets in the way of your plans, imagine going with the current of life more and simply having to navigate your way around obstacles, and then even have gratitude for them because they've corrected your path to new opportunities, or potentially brought you new additional knowledge or experience that's actually helped you towards your goal. And this is a place where you can anticipate the future rather than being apprehensive of it, like those who are in, to me or by me. Now, to move from that by me achiever mode where you are now into that next level of what I call through me, the first step you need to take is to give up the need for control. Now, this is difficult for most people because they're so used to controlling everything around them and holding on to that need for certainty. We have to remember there is a significant difference between giving up the need for control and giving up control. In other words, it's learning to embrace a certain amount of uncertainty that's going to help you release that tight grip on how you think life should look and how you think life should work in order to meet your expectations. And allow yourself to flow a little bit more with the river rather than panic because it's winding in a direction you weren't expecting. This is giving up that need for control and replacing it with a level of knowledge that the world will throw curveballs, and knowing how to flow around them or accept that it's correcting your path rather than being blinkered by the route you've designed for you to reach your goals. When it comes to being able to move forward from achiever into through me, where less than 10% of adults are, it's important to build up a new set of frames of reference that this stuff actually is working. It's rewriting the manual based on observing new results. It's putting the understanding the rule set and putting the rule set first, and then validating that rather than building a rule set based on observations and assumptions. And this is all part of developing new positive habits, new beliefs about yourself and the world around you, and focusing this newfound context rather than focusing on the content of your past. Now, to quote Einstein again, the most important decision we can make is whether we believe in a friendly or a hostile universe. So, whereas the victim believes the universe is hostile and everything happens to me, and the by me achiever might have a slightly more neutral view, when you believe the universe is friendly, it changes how you see life. It changes those frames of reference, and you become more open to opportunities that you would not otherwise have seen if you were, only looking for negatives or obstacles that you needed to overcome. Obstacles can come back left. Opportunities can come out of left field, out of the corner of your eye, if you like, but not if your focus is purely on, a linear route to achieving your goals, which is blinkering your wider vision. Now, creating new and reframing old frames of reference to rewrite that life manual that works with the new rule set is all part of changing beliefs, thoughts, patterns, habits, and so on. And it's something that requires a degree of openness and a level of discipline. But with the right process in place, you can avoid becoming overwhelmed and turning back. For example, the first step is simply to wake up and start to recognize the beliefs, habits, and patterns that you're currently running and start challenging them. And then you can build up from there. And, when we get there, it's an exciting journey moving into this space of through me. It's like a switch, from which point challenges tend to propel us forward, and we can be excited about what's the other side of them rather than set us back. And once you've had that switch, you honestly become thirsty for more, and your journey just keeps moving up the scale. Now, there is one more level further up above this, which is taking us into what I call ASME, towards enlightenment. But I'm not going to go through that now because My aim here is to simply get people into that switch state, into that through me state. And so for that, I'm not going to cover that now in this video. So that's all I'm going to cover now. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.